mechanism. And in a way, certainly we look forward to the Guangdong province in mapping out the arrangement and see what type of how they would like us to participate.
So what about on charging for water here?
Oh, well, charging for water here. Oh, we have not been successful. I think it must be 1995 when we raised raise a request, only a request, not a charge. Raise a request to increase. And at the time, this was I think for some reason basically it's not gone through. All right. In a way, that actually I'm glad that actually the city speak. All right. We need more voice. All right. Yeah. Well, basically, and of course, you have to understand the charge. Well, at the moment, we are on a tier system for the domestic consumption. We got a free allowance of 12 cubic meter for 4 months, or free of charge. All right. And then the second tier is something like $4 something. That actually just marginally cover our production cost, not including the distribution cost. So we are subsidizing that. All right. And then for the third tier, charging at $6, that cover actually the distribution cost and production cost. And we already have a fourth tier charging something like $9 something, all right? That is some kind of incentive for water conservation. But have we been doing enough? I think the community need to have some discussion on that particular aspect to see how we want to go on that one. But of course, basically people will say, what are the other measures that you are taking? So that is why we're actually pushing out a lot of measures of encouraging people and finding way of helping them to save water. Well, first, that I think must be the first the point of action. All right. And in fact, when you look at Mike mentioned about Australia. Australia has a lot for us to learn. In a way, because Australia ran through several years of very bad drought conditions, and end up with the emergence of desalination plants. But besides that, on this, the water saving practice, on how the particular type of business should operate to save water, they have done quite a lot of work on these areas. Basically, when you look at the publication by City Waters, there's a lot of best practice for different type of business. And we are trying to also work on that one, all right? So basically, I think that in order to ensure the Director of Water Supplies have sufficient sympathy that he has been doing enough, I have to work real hard on all these issues. And in a way, basically, we are working on that one. And as for the price, let the city speak.
All right, so we have two questions. A lady in the front here and a lady at the back, first of all. Yeah.
Quickly answer my questions. First of all, is about I'm wondering, the water pricing and whatnot thing. We have been presenting the issue as is a government-to-government or cross-border discussion. But I know that there's another third party that I really don't know. Can you tell me what kind of complexity of corporations involved in the water supply? First question, because I know that there's UHT and the other I forgot. That's one thing. And Hoyun actually positioning itself as realizing they actually have a reservoir of blue gold. So I think the pricing thing is not so much for Hong Kong to say. In relation to that about water saving, doing this kind of home-bound water saving put a lot of pressure on women, I have to say first. Secondly, I think in Australia, also mentioned about Australia, it's not talking about this as something only mechanical, it actually has aesthetics aspects and cultural aspects by daylighting grey water facilities. When I actually want to mention that you guys might want to support me. I wrote into Legislative Council that the West Kowloon development actually including a water feature, that we they like all the greywater processes and make it beautifully and aesthetically. And part of it built as a wetland and give it back some of the land back to the ecological niche of the Hong Kong harbour. Can I pass the mic to my colleague next door? She has been raising her hand, so before you guys answer. Okay.
It's tough to be a woman, so.
Really brief.
Sorry, just before you do, there's various people who are still standing. There are actually seats in the front here if you'd like to come and sit down. If you're happy to lurk away. Okay.
My question is less conceptual but more practical. On water conservation, I wonder if the water we save in Hong Kong, like Hong Kong people save water, can actually be used by people living along Dongjiang, because we know last year we have a really severe drought along the southern area. So before 2008, I remember before that year, the agreement we have with the Guangdong government was that no matter how much water you need, you have to pay for the water, and then the extra water we have actually got dumped into the sea. So I was wondering if we talk a lot on saving water, but if it end up being like dumped into the sea, how could we persuade the Hong Kong people to do more?
LT, is that still the case, that we dump water, or are we just paying for what we use?
In fact, the first thing I want to say is women are our hope. Both in population size, right, and water conservation. And of course, I raise it not without any disregard of the status of the male gender, right? Basically, both are important. The first question first, right? Actually, back before 2006, the agreement is that we have to take all the water we subscribed for. So in fact, then, there was water actually dumped directly back into the Consumption River. And after that, I think it's even earlier. I think it must be earlier than that one, probably 2004, right? And then after that, the agreement is what we call a package deal, the flexible supply, in a way that every month we told our counterpart in China how much water we want to ship in. Every month, all right? Probably around the 10th or before the middle of the month, we tell them, next month we have reviewed our storage situations. We have asked BY about the rainfall forecast, right? And then, basically, that will ensure that we'll ship in the amount of water from Dongjiang without the need of any dumping, all right? All will be used, all right? And so there is no direct discharge from the water directly in the Consumption River anymore, all right? So that's passed. But the package deal arrangement actually, subscribe to a fixed cost. That means, you will take less. You still have to pay the same amount. The way I take it is that, unless we are absolutely wrong in our estimation, otherwise it's a fair deal. In a way, basically we subscribe for a 0.8 billion, 0.82 to be more exact. The best figure that we took in the past year is 0.8, very close. All right. Sometimes we lose out by we talk only about 0.7 or 0.67 or something. All right. And but actually we are not oversubscribing much, and we have to work to a pledge of ensuring the continuous supply all year round. All right, all year round, and for Hong Kong people, even in the condition of 100-year return drought conditions. So it is quite a challenging task. So basically, we actually, the way we see it is that the package, as long as the amount subscribed to is reasonably close to what we require, that's a fair deal. Just like I always make reference to this example. When we go into the restaurants, basically you ask for something, ask for actually a set meal, all right, set menu, all right, but you pay for that. But on that particular day, you are probably not that hungry, and you miss out the dessert. no one can help. Basically, well, because you plan to take the whole, right? And you miss out the dessert, and you got to pay for that one. And in a way, they are actually charging us on operational considerations and the other things. As for the